7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Let's Talk Nerdy. Nerdy Vet here, and I got a special co-host today, the good old pop culture warrior. You seen him on WTF Radio and on his podcast there. And welcome, glad to have you here on the first episode. And we're going to get right into things, but first, a little bit before we get into that, I want to say thank you to the Hall of Heroes Superhero Museum in Ekhart, Indiana. Because of them, this episode is possible. And just to let you guys know, Let's Talk Nerdy is an outlet for us veterans, us nerds, us geeks. It's a safe zone for all of us. No politics, no real world craziness. We're just here to geek out, be nerdy, and just have fun and have a good time. So we want to make sure we hear from you. Make sure you guys are asking questions. We want to hear your input. And we're going to talk about a lot of fun stuff tonight. First thing we're going to talk about here, good old pop culture warrior, CQ for short. We are going to talk, obviously, about Superman. So there was a lot of hype coming into this movie. A lot of people were excited about it. A lot of people weren't excited about it. You got Snyderverse, non-Snyderverse, everything here. So CQ, I just want to know from you, man, what were your thoughts on this movie? I mean, was it something that just blew you away, or were you just kind of like, yeah, let's just wait till we see the next one?
Well, first, thanks for having me. This is so awesome. Very excited to be here. In regards to Superman, there's a lot of expectation with this one. There's a lot hanging in the balance, right? This is the start of the James Gunniverse, the DCU, as it's now called. That's a lot of pressure. And with the scrutiny, we knew there was going to be members of the Justice League. We knew it was going to be the whole, cabal of Superman characters and villains. And, when you find out it's the Engineer and it's Lex and it's Metamorpho and it's all these people, you start to go, that's a lot for one superhero movie, for one Superman movie. Yeah. But James Gunn has a way of really balancing a movie where everyone gets a little. I think, look at the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise. Everybody gets their fair share. There is the standouts, but everybody gets a bit of action. Here's the thing, though. I don't know if that's a good thing for a Superman movie, right? Like we want to see Superman. We want, and it is a Superman story, but it also has a lot of that Guardians of the Galaxy where there's a lot of the Justice Gang. There's a lot of Lois. There's a lot of the side characters. There's a lot of, the robots, the dog, everybody gets a lot of screen time in this. And, somewhat, I think it takes away from Superman. But that being said, I do really like James's approach in Superman. My biggest pet peeve of Superman has always been like, he's God. He's all powerful. He's boring. He could flick away, people or blow away people. Like, it's just so boring. And from what I've seen with James, talking about his process, is that he kind of nerfed Superman a bit. He kind of brought down the power level a little bit. Obviously, he's still going to be able to beat up, Lex hand to hand because he's immortal. But, you do see him get slapped around a bit. You do see him bleed, which is weird, considering, he is Superman and supposed to be impervious. But yeah, I mean, overall, I thought, to belabor the point of it, I thought it was a good movie. I thought it was really well done. I thought he balanced pretty well. It was so colorful, and I mean that in the best possible way. It's just even with the Marvel, with the DC, with everything lately, it's been so dull and muted and gray toned, and everything's so serious and dark and raw. And I do feel that this had a lot of levity and a lot of color and a lot of life to it, which I appreciate. And yeah, man, everything that James Gunn has said is I'm excited for the future of the DCU. I think this was it was not a great blown away movie in and of itself, but I think a really, really solid first step in building out this universe. And the thing that makes me so most excited about the future is that he said that we're only going to release good. Like, we're only going to, if it's not good, we're not going to release it. And there's already rumors about some things that have kind of bit the bullet because it just wasn't good enough. But also that you can tell all these hero stories in a it's not going to be cookie cutter, right? It's not going to be, this is the formula, let's stick to it for the next 20 years, Marvel. Each story is going to stand on its own 2 feet. And yes, collectively, they're going to tell the big narrative of the whole universe. But that, you could bring out a Swamp Thing movie that is a horror. You can bring out a Flash movie that's a buddy comedy, so you can really let these writers and actors and directors leave their thumbprint kind of on these properties. So I'm excited to see it. I mean, it's a lot to live up to. But I'm excited.
Definitely. For it. We got Skess Comics here making some little jokes here. We'll probably be seeing him here pretty soon there, Skess. So don't worry about that. Glad to see you on here and watching. And for those on Instagram, I'm so sorry. We had a user error. The IT10 Chief chip was broken, and I forgot to hit go live on Instagram, but we are streaming now. And again, if you are on Instagram, we are talking about Superman and our thoughts and everything there. So I'm kind of the same way with you. I wasn't overwhelmed with it. I didn't think it was the greatest thing on earth, but I really enjoyed it, though. It was fun. It was, it was fresh. It wasn't your typical DC movie, and that's what kind of got me a little bit, because we've seen so much stuff that's been dark and just the Snyderverse and all this stuff that's out there, and this was kind of like that fresh of breath air a little bit to DC. It was kind of like, hey, we're restarting, we're going to make it funny, we're going to make it, there were some dark, sad moments and stuff, but it was more of kind of made for today, more of, hey, let's get something different than what we've had seen for the past close to 100 years. We want something that's a little bit more fun. And it was, that's one thing that I did like about it. I will say, though, before we even talk about the characters, I'm going to talk about the whole star of the movie right now. We're just going to pull them up right now. It was awesome. It definitely is this was right here brought a lot of fun to this film. And I enjoyed Crypto. Remind me a lot of my dog, the way he listens. And just overall, I think he was used awesome for this. I mean, I don't think there's anyone who could disagree with this. I mean, what were your thoughts? I mean, when you saw Crypto and the way he was acting and everything, just from the beginning, it just started out great.
Yeah, man. It's amazing how well he was able to get you to really buy into the relationship or lack thereof of these two super beings of Superman and Crypto. The fact that it's this wild spirited dog, it makes sense. The idea that like Crypto could be this perfect. I mean, he's a super dog. I guess he could be perfect, but the fact that, he's a dog. No matter how you slice it, he's a dog. He's not like a service dog that's trained to be, perfect. He's just a wild dog. And then, obviously spoilers, but when you realize, oh, it's not even his dog, it's his cousin's dog. And that kind of makes more sense. Like, oh, that's why he's so misbehaved and so kind of like disregarding of Superman. But it's almost an entirely CGI dog, which is just crazy how well visually it worked. And man, I'm for it. He definitely
it was just fun. Like, I mean, just watching him, and I'll admit there's times where I was like, oh my gosh, if something happens to this dog, I'm done. Like, I'll admit I'm the first person that'll fast forward the first part of John Wick because I don't want to see his dog get killed. Sorry, spoilers if you haven't seen it. But what I think is really awesome about this, and I don't know how much obviously you can make up percentages all the time, but I'm reading stuff now where they're saying that, adoption rates are up like 500% because of this movie, 200%. And I really think some of it is true because, I mean, he did say how a lot of this was because of rescue dogs and stuff like that. And just, I mean, if that's what it takes, then let's just get crypto in like every movie and let's just keep going and keep those dogs.
Every movie gets an adopted animal, cats, iguanas, raccoons. I mean, I'm sure there were people after Guardians that were like out there collecting raccoons. I bet you.
Yeah.
It had to be. I mean, I remember back when like Finding Nemo came out, and they said there was like a 300% surge in like clownfish sales. And it makes sense.
Yeah, it was great, and it was really refreshing with him. So let's talk a little bit about the characters a little bit and some like their costumes and things like that. Now, obviously, one of the biggest debates was Superman and his costume. Now I'm pulling up posters here that are from DC. A lot of people didn't like the red underwear on the outside. Some people kind of like the all blue. I'm back and forth on it. So sometimes it looked like he was kind of wearing a diaper, and then other times it looked good. So I'm not going to say this is one of my favorite Superman costumes, but it probably wasn't the worst, but it kind of gave you a more comic book feeling to me. So I don't know about you on that, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah. I definitely think that it's tough, especially with a character like Superman, because we've had so many iterations of him, both live action, animated, through the comic books. So there's just such a, you're going to have a passionate opinion on it based on when you were introduced to the character, who your Superman is, right? Whether it's live action or comic or the animated adventures of Superman, whatever it is. I think it's a really subtle blend of kind of honoring the past and also making it modern-ish. That being said, I'm not the biggest fan of it, but again, I know where my own bias comes from. But I like that, it honors, the trunks and the boots, and really does pay a lot of homage to the original interpretations. And I personally, people can argue this, I don't like the S on the traditional Superman costume, right? The idea that he comes from an alien planet and it just so happens that his family crest is an S, like it's silly. So I do like when we get these kind of interpretations where, oh, it's not an S, it's the symbol of hope, as they did in the Henry Cavill one, but it's meant to be his family crest. It's meant to be the House of L. So I like that, looking at it from human eyes, you go, oh yeah, it kind of looks like an S. But that's just us, putting that on the image when like, no, it's not an S, and I would have liked them see, maybe a little bit of clever dialogue on why he's Superman, like why he's called Superman. They could have did a throwback to like, they call him Superman. He goes, I never really liked that name. It's so, it's so egotistical or whatever. Like letting him not, he's like, that's just what people call me, not necessarily what I call myself. I would have liked to see something like that, because then it plays into that. It's not an S, right? It's not an S that stands for Superman. It's my house symbol, and it's just people call me Superman. But yeah.
Now Seth's Comics here actually says, do you think there's too many characters? We're close. We'll get into that as we talk into the characters. We were close. I think we had maybe just the right. It could have maybe done a little less, but I know they were trying to cram a lot of people, especially from the Daily Planet and everything else. You're trying to get all that stuff in there, but we were close to having too many. It's on the borderline with me. I don't know about you, but definitely for me, it was right there.
Yeah. This is, let's compare it to the last iteration, the Man of Steel, episode 1, whatever you want to call it. You introduce Superman, you have to introduce his parents, you have to introduce Lex, you have to introduce, the Daily Planet people. And already, like you said, it starts to feel a little bloated just because he has a very big, he has a big supporting cast. So basically when you start throwing in other heroes and other villains, yeah, it starts to get a little heavy.
Yeah.
I do think that one of James Gunn's specialties, like we mentioned earlier, is that he can really balance well these big ensemble casts. But again, the detriment to that is it does take a little bit of the focus away of Superman. For every scene you love of Crypto and Lois and the Justice Gang and Mr. Terrific and whoever else, that's not Superman. And
Yeah.
this is a Superman movie. So I don't think it was too many. I think you're right. I think it was on the cusp of being too many.
Yeah.
But I think it was handled as well as it could be.
Yeah, and another thing is like we also got to get not out of our minds too is it's even though it's kind of the refresh of the DC, the new DCU or whatever, we're so used to these origin stories where it's just focused on that one character throughout the whole thing. And Gunn kind of went above that and was like, you know what, we've already had the origin story. We already know how he got here. We know where he's powered. We know what he's, weak to. And let's just get everybody in so we can start branching off this new DCU, which I understand why they did that. So it was kind of like we jumped ahead to in Avengers, we kind of just skipped a couple instead of going through each individual character and then building up to that big group, especially with the Justice Gang and stuff like that. So, yeah. So, I see that. And yeah, I laugh at that Justice Gang name. It is pretty funny. With there, but yeah, we're right on the cusp with that. And with characters, and obviously, Superman, you always got Clark Kent. What were your thoughts on Clark Kent? To me, he felt kind of too, I'm trying to think of the word, like insecure or too, not really insecure. I can't even think of the word I'm looking for. It was like he was confident, but at times he was too confident to where he confused himself or kind of, opened his mouth when he shouldn't have, especially, the whole interviewing himself with Lois and everything there. It was just, he seemed sometimes too complicated for Clark Kent. I don't know. Maybe I'm just looking too much into it and trying to find some little negative things here and there. But to me, it didn't feel right for me.
Yeah, I think he did a great job as Superman. As Clark, you look back at like Christopher Reeves, and he had such a great way of really downplaying his stature, his physique, his everything, his mannerisms. And I think that scene between him and Lois where they're interviewing each other, like I think that's him trying to lean into that, where switching back and forth. And I think it plays well enough, but I don't I don't want to this is gonna sound terrible. I don't think he's a good enough actor to really pull it off. Where I watched that scene and I've watched it a couple times because of the trailers and the clips and things, but you can't go, oh, that's Superman, that's Clark, right? There's the one scene where she goes, well, hey, Superman. He goes, yes, Miss Lane. And he's like leans forward. You go, oh, that's it. But the rest of the scene is it's just him swapping back and forth, but there's not enough duality, and I don't know if it's played that way intentionally to say like in that moment he's so frustrated that he's having a hard time, controlling, whatever. But yeah, it's just Clark didn't. I didn't think he was. In these superhero movies, you'll say, oh, Tobey Maguire is a great Peter Parker, not a great Spider-Man, but what's his name? Andrew Garfield, great Spider-Man, not a great Peter Parker. And so like it's rare to have where you could, especially a character has that duality. Can you do both? John Bernthal as the Punisher. He is Frank Castle. He is the Punisher. Same person. There's no difference. But yeah, that was a tough one, I think.
So, and then also, obviously, how you said how we kind of had that same feeling about Clark Kent and everything there. Did you feel like, and I've had this discussion with a lot of people, and it's been about 50-50. Like, did you feel that connection between Lois and Clark Kent? Like, it just, to me, it's, I mean, I guess we're kind of spoiled with some of the older Superman stuff and where they're just truly in like, and it was like an awkward high school relationship to me. And it just seemed, for some parts just didn't click well. I don't know. And it could be, again, just me or on there, but I like to see what your thoughts on this, and everybody who's watching right now, please tell me, what were
Yeah,
your
let us
thoughts
know.
on how, Lois and Clark were together on the scene?
I love Rachel as an actress. I think she's a phenomenal actress, and I think she really did a great job as Lois Lane in this film. The chemistry between them did seem a bit odd at times, and
Mhm.
from a story perspective, right? They only just recently started dating,
Yeah,
right? Like that's the idea. They've only
it's true.
that we see the first time he says "I love you," like so. It's a very early in the relationship, but and like you said, the way we've always seen it depicted is that like it was this instant love connection, and the minute he revealed he's Superman, they were madly in love with each other, and it's the perfect relationship. So I do think that James tried to input a little humility and a little humanity in, like, it's still that it's exciting, but it's awkward, but it's like, where
Yeah.
are we, what are we? And she's coming from a place where she knows she's not good at relationships, and so you know it's hard because I go, okay, that makes sense from a story perspective and why they're kind of at odds, but it does feel weird because we're just so used to Clark and Lois, Superman and Lois, like that we're just so used to that, the perfect couple, the perfect couple. It's the Barry Allen, Iris West, of relationships, and so it feels weird when they're not in sync. It's like
Yeah.
mommy and daddy are fighting. Oh, I don't like this. Like it feels weird. But I think it will get to that point. I think it will grow into that relationship that we know and love from the comics. But it did feel a little awkward at times, for sure.
Yeah, it did, and like I said, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't enough to make me go, "Oh my gosh, I don't ever want to watch this movie ever again." And we're getting some funny comments here. Or it must be we got a Cleveland's Brown fan here on Instagram right now. Superman's like a young Nick Chubb. Well, in that case, there, good old T Servo. He probably wouldn't finish the season and have Superman too. But sorry, it's a bash on the Browns there because I'm obviously a Steelers fan, but it's okay. Not everybody's perfect there, Charles. But anyways, so let's talk about villains a little bit. I mean, obviously we have a lot of characters, and we could go over everyone. I don't know if we'll hit them all today. I'm sorry, everybody, but I want to talk about good old Lex. All right, so I honestly thought he was the most perfect Lex Luger. Like, I don't know what it was about it, but I said Luther. But he just really hit, like, you could tell that he had that obsessive, that just wants to just destroy everything, and the way he studied Superman, and it was just amazing how he portrayed that role. I don't know why, but he really hooked me in there. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, first, I think Nicholas Hoult is a really great actor.
Yeah.
I think this is a definite version of Lex Luthor. I don't know, man. Like, I really, really, really wanted to like love it. Especially the fact that, like, rumor has it that Superman's getting paid 750 and Lex got 2 million to be in the movie. So like you're like, he better steal the show. Like, he better be the best part of the movie if you're getting paid more than double the lead actor. Um, and I definitely think he is an interpretation. It's it's the vicious, the cruel, the maniacal, the obsessive. Um, I don't know. They're just something like, I love we'll say the prison torture scene.
Mhm.
I think that was incredible, and I think that was such a ballsy
Yeah.
decision. I'm with it. I like that. Um, the part where he's like working with a dictator to
Yeah.
overthrow a government and all like that, I don't know. Like, to me, that's a little Scooby-Doo. That's a
Yeah.
little it's a little like, I'm like, if we're really trying to ground this guy as this futuristic tech bro who created portal technology, who cloned Superman, and he's like, I'm gonna manipulate a government. You're like it's so like I feel like it's small potatoes. You see what I'm saying? Like we're trying to say this is the Lex that's like up here. He is the you should fear this man. But I don't know. He's doing some like warlord, nonsense, and
I
so I
just
don't know. That part of it I wasn't a big fan of, but the acting, the obsessioning,
yes.
the way he portrayed Lex and his singular focus, I definitely think willing to risk, you know, and that's part. There's in the comics and in a lot of the lore of Lex, obviously we know at one point he becomes president and he's always thinking 10 steps ahead and
Yeah.
but his whole thing is always that Superman's the bad guy. He's not the bad guy. Superman's the bad guy and he's just trying to get people to see that. But when you're willing to rip a hole through the very fabric of like reality and split the city in two, like I mean, I guess you could be so obsessive that you don't see the actions you're taking are bad, but
Yeah.
like that's pretty easy to go like, yeah, you're the bad guy in this scenario. Where we like our villains to be complicated and like, hate Thanos, but like kind of understand where he's coming from, right?
Yeah.
Like I get the reasoning. But I think he went a little too far. But again, in this version of it, the part I have to keep coming back to myself is something that James Gunn put right at the opening of this. It has been centuries of metahumans. This is a world that looks at a goddamn kaiju and is like selfie because it's just so commonplace.
Yep.
And so in that, if that is the foundation of truth of our knowledge, then you go, well, yeah, I guess an egomaniacal genius would be like, fuck it, I'll just rip the city in half. Worst case, Justice Gang fixes it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
in that sense, I guess it kind of makes. I just talked myself into being like, yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, it just I just loved his obsessiveness about it. And then like what I also had to put myself into is I have to like again, like I said earlier, it's not an origin story. So we already know they have a history. We already know that he's already, we had to put ourselves in the mindset that he's already has dealt with Superman and really have gone, to the extremes to try to be one step ahead of him, which he was for most of the time. And we'll get into that here a little bit because we want to jump into collectibles here pretty soon. But I do want to talk about one character that I thought really kind of stole the show, other than Crypto. Like I said, Crypto was pretty good up there, but all right, let's talk about good old Mr. Terrific. I had a chance to actually get an early copy of the DC comic for their first issue, and I loved it. And so I was pretty anxious to see him in the movie and what everything goes for. Before I even talk any more about him, I just want to hear your thoughts right now because it's just like to me, it's just I'm overwhelmed a little bit. So
He was great. I think Edai, I think is how you pronounce it. Edai, I think is how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
He for those that remember X-Men First Class, he was Darwin, who was done unjust the way they did Darwin.
Yeah, that was horrible.
Such a cool character. And apparently they said like, oh yeah, you're gonna come back, and they just dumped him. But for Mr. Terrific, I think he plays it just about as perfect as humanly possible. I really can't pick a moment where I'm like, oh, that was too much, or that was too far, or that was not enough. Like he hit this delicious monotone of like, yeah, I'm perfect. Like yeah, obviously, like it's not a big deal. This is just every day. I'm Mr. Terrific. I am the epitome of man. And he just does it with such a cavalier attitude. And like I said, if you didn't know the character, I could see like I went with my wife and her thing was like he just seemed like like he didn't really care. And I'm like, yeah, that's the
That's
like
the point.
that was a choice. That was a character choice of just I'm bored. You know what I mean? Like in the middle of fighting a monster, I'm just like, whatever, man. Like I could be doing quadratic equations in my lab right now,
Yeah.
but I got to be doing this. And so I think he knocked it out of the park, and just a lot of the nuance he brought to that character, and I'm excited to see what they do with that character in the future.
Yeah. What I really loved about the fact that he does stuff out of spite. Obviously, if I don't want to spoil too much for people, even though it's been out for a little while, but just good old Gardner there just definitely got the finger back at him during that movie. But it was just the way he was. You're right, his monotone attitude. I think he cracked a smile maybe once. That's when him and Lois was in the vehicle, and she was talking about maybe breaking up with Superman, and he's kind of like looking back like, what? But it's just he was just such the to me was out of everybody in the movie, out of the actors, I think he was the most perfect cast person in that movie.
I would, funny enough, I would say him and the kid that played Jimmy Olsen. I think just and he didn't need to do much. And when you're playing Jimmy Olsen, you really can't do much. But I think those two were just spot on, 100%.
Yeah, so I definitely love that. So we're gonna go back to a villain real quick, and then we're gonna go ahead and do our final thoughts on that. But I want to talk a little bit, and again, everybody, sorry, there's gonna be some spoilers here, a little bit about Ultraman. So we obviously get this character, and to me, I was my thoughts about it was kind of iffy, and then I really got a big Star Wars vibe because I don't know why. Because when you finally get him unmasked and you realize who he is, he looked like Anakin to me. I don't know what it was, but I'm seeing like the battle of like Mustafar and everything going through my head at this point. But I kind of I know what they were doing. Obviously, you got comics and everything else you're keeping with, but as a villain, especially when he was it just did not feel right to me. It was just kind of awkward and just again like I couldn't take it seriously once his mask came off. But I don't know. Let's get your thoughts on this one.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, anytime you have a masked hero villain, what's under the mask. I almost feel like you could have kept him masked the whole time and just never revealed it, and just that could have been a lingering mystery, and it didn't need to be wrapped up in a nice little pretty bow. They did, and I did, like you said, I got the same Anakin vibes, very much so. And when that reveal comes, I started to wonder, especially with the black hole thing. I was like, oh, like maybe he gets kind of sucked in, and it kind of almost like mutilates him a little bit, and then that could lead into kind of like a bizarro kind of situation. I was like, oh, that'd be interesting, kind of a way to do it, because he's already, we know he's slow, and he's mentally not there. All you got to do is disfigure him a little bit, and I thought that the U could get kind of pulled almost sideways into like a weird twisted S, and I'm like, as I thought about it, I was like, oh, that could be kind of cool. And then obviously they didn't go that route, which is fine. That's their prerogative. But yeah, I mean, that in of itself is the problem with someone like Superman. The only person that can go toe to toe with him is another Superman.
Exactly.
I mean, that's just it. That's it.
I would have loved it, like you said, if they would at least kept the mask at least for maybe until the next movie or something, just to make you wonder, like how did he, with his DNA and everything. Again, I'm trying not to spoil too much for people, but it's just just so many things on there that would have been like, man, if he would have stayed masked in that battle and everything else, it would have been to me a lot better. And again, I wouldn't have that Anakin thing, because all I kept just seeing was Anakin fighting with himself between the light side and the dark side, and next thing you know, I'm making my own Star Wars movie in my head.
Shave his head, make him bald. You know what I mean? Do something, make a choice. But yeah, it was just me.
So, but overall, though, we're gonna jump into collectibles and my favorite thing here lately, popcorn buckets, here in a minute. But overall, though, I'm going to talk again, finish up with the Superman thing. Again, so if I had to rate it, if I'm going from a scale from 1 to 10, I'd probably give it a 7.5. It wasn't, great. It wasn't bad. people that know me know I keep politics out of everything. You know, like I said, this show is for us nerds, us veterans and stuff. This is a safe zone. And when I go and watch stuff, I keep that stuff out of my head. And with that, I enjoyed the movie. I really liked it. The after credit scenes were pretty funny. They weren't the best. They weren't nothing to get you excited for what's I guess no, not really. There wasn't really much to get you excited for what's coming up next. I was thinking more of the end of the movie. Again, I'm going to leave a little bit for you guys to be surprised with. But yeah, you know, overall, again, 7.5. I don't know. What would your score be out of 10?
Yeah. I like if you go just as a movie viewing experience, say like it's a 7. And then when you go, well, as a superhero movie, you know, overall, I think that you give it a little more grace. It's an 8. And then, you know, if you go, well, hey, this is comparative to, like, we talked about this a minute ago, but like, you know, this is Iron Man. This is the first of a universe. This is the launching point. And for what it had to do, you know, I think you got to give it like an 8.5 just for how much it's able to accomplish in one short movie. But yeah, I'm in that range. Yeah.
So I'd like to know your guys' thoughts. Chime in, let us know what you score out 10 for Superman. But now, obviously, you can tell by both of our backgrounds, we have a few collectibles. From Funko to helmets to Legos to autographs, you name it. But there's been one thing lately that has been really kind of getting the market, and I'm going to admit I'm one of the suckers who fell into it. And we're going to talk a little bit about popcorn buckets. They crack me up. They're great. That they're getting more complicated. Like, it's just unreal that some of this stuff's going, and we can probably blame the Doom bucket for this because that just started the whole wave of popcorn bucket like craziness and people buying everything. I have a few buckets here I'm going to show off and talk about and everything. But obviously the Galactus, I'm just going to pardon me while I whip this out.
Not on stream, no.
I mean, look at seriously,
that's big.
Like, could you just imagine sitting in a theater eating the popcorn out of this thing? Like, it's unreal. And of course the eyes light up. This thing is actually pretty amazing.
Why are we pretending these are popcorn buckets anymore? No one is using these as popcorn buckets. Why?
I mean, it's straight up a collect. I mean, this looks good. Like, I have the display with my Fantastic Four statues, and it looks just as good as the statues that it's next to. So, but kind of so everyone can really see the size comparison to this thing. I mean, this thing is massive. You know, for $80, definitely worth it. And if you were the Cinemark reward member, you got the 20% off, so it actually took it down even more. But I mean, this is just probably one of the best buckets that's been released. But we'll go through a few of them. But before I go into mine, what's some of the ones that really stood out to you? What are some of your favorite ones?
Oh man, I'm against popcorn buckets, and let me just say this. Coming from a guy, collectibles, all types of collectibles. You know, I feel like this is a guy who buys so much shit, so much junk, so much dumb stuff. But it's like, it's such a money grab. I don't like it. It's like, man, it bothers me because it's a corporation that looks like, all right, how else can we drain $1 out of these idiots, you know? And it's like, whoa, we'll make $80 popcorn buckets. There you go. Show off your collection. You know, when done creatively, I'll give it credit. Like, say what you will, the Deadpool Wolverine one was something, the Dune one was something. I just saw one. Okay, so they just showed, again, for the dumbest movie, but for Freakier Friday, it's a soda that when you take off the top, it's popcorn, and then it's a popcorn bucket that when you take off the top, there's soda.
Yeah.
So that's clever. Okay, I'm cool. Like, I get that. I get that part of the marketing. But you know, the Naked Gun is releasing just a giant squirrel that you open the back and it's popcorn. Or, you know, F1, the movie, it's the race helmet. But again, they couldn't even make it where the it's not the helmet that's opening. Like it's the top of the helmet instead of like what you would think the visor would open and you can get your popcorn out of the visor. But no, it's like the top of the skull. So it's like, there's certain times where I'm like, from a creative standpoint, like the Dune Buck and all that, like I've seen really well done ones. The Jurassic Park, it looks like the canister and it lights up, or the Mission Impossible.
Mhm.
You put the key in, you turn, and it's a bomb and it lights up, and like, all right, but I don't know, man.
Yeah, and this is what I like about doing shows like this, because I always try to get sometimes the complete opposites of everything, which you get both aspects of. And obviously, I'm a sucker for it. I don't know why. I think they're hilarious. I think that's why I get them, because I think someone's like, hey, this is so stupid. It's awesome. But I mean, as you can tell behind me, I mean, over here I got the crypto, I got the Daily Planet newspaper one, which this one actually is pretty cool. Like this one, I even got a picture of this one here. It has you can actually change the paper to crypto and stuff like that. I have those back there. Also to my left, you can see, and I just use the mouse like you guys could see that. Obviously, you couldn't. The Ecto 1, Slimer, Stay Puff. They're all over the place. And then, of course, by one of the goofiest ones. And I mean, this is.
Yes.
But what's hilarious is it's actually the cup and the popcorn holder. Like, can you just imagine someone sitting there, like, drinking out of this thing and eating pop? Like, just make the toy. That's one thing I would say with some of this. Just make the toy. But again,
that's my point. That's my point. Is like, stop selling this as a popcorn bucket. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. It's like, it's the dumb. Just sell us a thing. Just sell us this is a collectible thing, and it could be like exclusive to AMC Theater, exclusive to Regal. Here's this collectible thing.
Yeah.
But to market it as a popcorn bucket, it's just, to me, it's the dumbest thing. It's like if Funko is like, they're gonna, like, they put a hole in the top and like, look, these are Funko pencil holders, and it's like, it's just a little Funko.
I mean, Funko kind of did that with the Funko pins.
Like but it's this ridiculous notion of like, no, it's a popcorn bucket, man. It's just a really nice bucket. No, it's not.
Now I will say the Galactus though, like the detail, like that one, whoever did that one, kudos to the design team, because the details on it are amazing. It looks, like I said, when you have it sitting there, like I've never thought I'd actually put my popcorn bucket with statues that make it look good, and it actually, like, it's amazing. Like, it's just unreal.
Well, let me ask you a question though. So to that point though, if you were gonna, like, we're gonna sell a Galactus head, and you paid $80 because it's the statuette, and it was like cheap plastic and kind of like not molded well, not details, wouldn't you be pissed? You're like, I spent $80 and it's this cheap quality thing. Like, no, like you'd be like it should be well done because it's $80. It should be well done.
And I'm anxious to see what the Herbie one for Fantastic Four is. So supposedly AMC is going to be carrying that. So I'm going to go on release day and try to grab that before my showing and see how well that one is. But yes, I'm going to end up with it. You're going to see it posted all on my social media pages. It's going to be there. But yeah, it's crazy the way things are going, and the way, I mean, the resale market on these buckets is also, like, I'm not a reseller. I'm not somebody who wants to buy something to make a profit on it. But man, it's just nuts. Like, you have to, like, I know up here, I'm up here in Mishawaka, South Bend, Indiana. Like, you have to get there, especially at AMC, the day of. And it's a small, like, we're not a huge city, and they're still selling out on the day of some of these buckets. So, I mean, the F1 buckets, it was crazy how popular those ones were. Like, I bought one just because I honestly walked in and saw it. I was like, I'll just take it because it comes with the popcorn and it's only a few bucks more. But it's crazy how, people like me are going crazy over them because,
and you know what, to that, I'm okay if you're going to tell me this popcorn bucket, it's $5 more than what a popcorn would cost you. Okay, I get that. Go create $10 more, right? The normal popcorn, let's say, runs $8. but you get this collectible thing. It's 18 and you get popcorn with it. Okay. But when you start to go into 40, 50, 60, 70, $80, it's not a popcorn bucket anymore. It's not. Okay. It's a collectible. I feel targeted. I feel like, they're coming after me personally. It's just, I respect if you collect anybody out there, if you collect them, I don't care if you collect Pokemon cards or stamps or whatever, like more power to you.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, me personally, as a guy who collects just about everything, I can't bring myself to do the popcorn buckets, man. I just can't do it. Can't do it.
Yeah, it's definitely, I don't know what honestly, I think it was the Ghostbuster ones that started getting me hooked. Yeah. And then from there, just kept going. Now there's some that I definitely, you probably won't see the Smurfs house in my collection. You're probably not going to see the Megan one. I passed on that one. There's gonna be a few. Now the Beaver one from that he said, I don't know. I might just have to try to get that one. But it's goofy. I love it. It's fun. And I never thought I would ever say I spent that much money on a popcorn bucket before, but Galactus was a must-have, and I'm just glad I got it when I did, because
that was one of the few where I said, this is the thing. If Hasbro's releasing this giant Galactus head thing and it lights up and all that and released with the movie, I'd be like, man, I'm seriously considering buying it. But the fact that it's a popcorn bucket, I'm just like, nope, not doing it.
And it's funny you say that, because the Hasbro, I mean, really, with the quality of this one, I mean, it's obviously a thicker plastic, but the only difference would be where the hole would be at if you put it on your head. Like this one, actually, I mean, it looks good. So kudos to them. The $80 well spent. They made it actually a collectible for that price and not just a cheap popcorn bucket. So that's one thing I love about them. Now, everybody, we're going to try to wrap up here a little bit. Superman got us going a little bit. But obviously we want to try to keep the show at about an hour. Instagram also makes us only keep the show about an hour. So want to go over a couple things here real quick. Obviously, everybody who knows me, I'm a huge wrestling fan, and we got SummerSlam coming up. Now, I know you're not too caught up on the wrestling and everything there, but I'm going to go through some things real quick that I'm very excited about, and a couple things here. This first weekend of August is going to be pretty exciting. There's some awesome matches I'm looking forward to. Obviously Valkyria and Becky Lynch is going to be a huge match. Will Valkyria take the championship? I think she takes it from the man, and we'll see what happens. That's my pick on that one. But it's been some good matches. Her, Bailey, and Becky Lynch now have got this hate triangle going on, so it's definitely been more enjoyable there. This is the match that I'm excited about. Now, if anybody who watched Evolutions, Rhea Ripley and Io Sky had one of the matches of the year. It went out and became a street brawl. They were out all over the arena. I mean, it was just hardcore. And then I don't know if you're too familiar with the Money in the Bank suitcase. Naomi came in and cashed in and got them while they were down. So this is going to be an interesting matchup, because there's a lot of hate going on here, but Ripley and Io Sky have a lot of respect for each other. I just hope, and no one thought that Naomi was going to go for this title. They all thought she was, going after, the big dogs. And instead, this is the way it showed up. And now, at first I was kind of disappointed the way it ended with her cashing in, but I think we're going to get even a better match there. And again, I'm pretty excited about that one as well. And I said, we're going through these real quick, everybody, because I want to talk a little bit about San Diego Comic-Con that's happening this week as well, which I know CQ will be heading down to. Unfortunately, I will not be going this year, but we'll get into that in a minute. This is the one I'm excited about. CM Punk, Gunther. I think we're going to see CM Punk take the title from Gunther, but I also think that I don't know how serious the Seth Rollins injury is, because he's got that Money in the Bank suitcase too. Does he cash in? Is he really hurt? What's going to happen with this scenario here? So I'm very anxious about that. And then this is the one that I want to talk about a little bit. So if you guys are still hanging in here with us, Cody Rhodes and John Cena. Now, obviously Cena, it's his farewell tour. He's got the championship. Is he going to hold on to it through this match? I don't know, but I'm calling it now on the show so we can go back. I think this is the show that Rhodes becomes a heel. I think there's more involved with The Rock. There's been some things that's been noticed and picked up on the internet with the watch and everything, and the glasses that he was wearing in his business suit and kind of going over. So is he doing are we getting a little, trickery going on? What's going on with this? But I think something big, we're going to see something different with Cody Rhodes in this one here. But the one thing I really kind of want to talk about real quick is the tag team of Flair and Bliss. Now, this one, if you would have told me in a million years this would be a tag team, I would have laughed at you. For some reason now I can't get enough of these two because they hate each other and like each other enough in the ring to make it a very interesting one. And I'm anxious to see where it's going to go from this, because now we're getting some interesting tag teams going on. The women's division has just been amazing this year with matches. I'm very excited about what we're getting and seeing, and I can't wait to see what we have more in store here. But CQ, real quick, I mean, how long has it been since you watched wrestling? Are you into the wrestling atmosphere? Obviously not as much as me and some of our other people, but I mean, what are your thoughts on some of these matches for people who
throw me under the bus? Throw me to the wolves, throw me under the bus.
Oh, I'm doing it right now.
I was huge into wrestling from like mid 90s all the way until probably 2000. It's been about 2010. Like I was followed every episode, every show. I've been to multiple pay-per-views, multiple house shows. I a lot of respect for the wrestlers. These guys did the USO tours and came out. And when I was injured and I was in Walter Reed in DC, like they would come through. They would invite us. To, like when the tour came through DC, they would put us front row. And like we'd be on TV, it'd be like Wounded Warriors, and it would be on TV. We were on the front, like ah! So like I've gotten to hang out with a lot of these guys in the back, talk to Rey Mysterio without his mask on, and like I have such a respect for them. All that being said, as I've gotten more and more involved in other things and got married and had a kid and started doing all the podcasts and stuff, it's just there's not enough time in the world for everything. So that is one of the things that's kind of fallen by the wayside. Funny enough, I still follow a lot of like wrestling content. So like I'll see like what storylines are coming up, or what's the big thing, like when the Rock came back and the heel, and then John Cena and the heel turn, and like like I still like the major milestones I'm still kind of caught up on, and have a lot of respect for what they've done with the women's divisions and the evolution, and with McMahon being out and kind of Triple H taking over I think it's great. I think it's great what it's doing for the business. And I have a lot of respect for it, but I haven't, just being honest, I haven't watched I think wrestling in quite a bit, but yeah, man, every time I went to a live not too like 2 years ago. They were in DC, and I went to a Raw live because I got invited by another guy had tickets. So I was like, fuck it. I've done wrestling, and I'm like, I can look off to my side. You can't see it, but I have wrestling belts from back when I was big into it. I have the original undisputed title in the United States, the old school United States title, all autographed and everything hanging up on my walls. So I definitely was a big fan, but nothing beats the Attitude Era. The Hardy Boys when they first came out, the Team Extreme, like that was my time, man.
We talk about a lot of memories and stuff, and I'm like I said, I'm trying to get everything in here, but the Goldberg match, which meant a lot to me because in college we used to always watch. We saw Goldberg when he started and watched through there, and he was like one of those guys that we all just like, oh man, it's Goldberg, And I know I get a lot of grief because a lot of people don't like Goldberg and stuff like that, but he's one of the ones, Goldberg, Sting, Stone Cold Steve Austin. These are the people that brought me, like, I remember a lot about wrestling. When I was younger, obviously Hulk Hogan, all that stuff there. The Goldberg match I thought was interesting. Part of me is not sold that Goldberg was supposed to lose that match. For one, it was one of Goldberg's longest matches in his whole career. With Seth Rollins getting hurt. So this could also be, a legit injury for Seth Rollins. Part of me thought that Goldberg was going to win, but be too sore to do anything, and then Seth Rollins was going to cash in and take the title from there. I really think that might have been some of it because obviously NBC ran out of time and cut off his retirement speech, which was I thought was pretty messed up. But
Mhm.
Peacock could have kept it going, but Peacock didn't. That's what I was watching on. They cut it off too. So, but yeah, that's my thing on Goldberg. So I'll stop on that. Let's talk real quick about San Diego Comic-Con coming up this week. I know you're going to be heading out there. Again, I won't be there this year. I will be hopefully at New York Comic-Con. But a lot of the things out there, I know some of the things that I've seen, Funko exclusive, Thrilljoy exclusives, Toho with Godzilla stuff's amazing things out there. What's some of the stuff that caught your eye and that you're excited about when you head down there?
Oh man. So funny enough, I've been so wrapped up in a lot of the press stuff. I've been very blessed into getting into some really exclusive press rooms and things. So like I haven't even had time to look at like actual exclusives and collectibles. But like some things I'll be at the Magic the Gathering is crossing over with Spider-Man. I am a huge Spider-Man fan. So I will be there, and I grew up playing Magic the Gathering, so it's awesome. But I'll be there checking that out. There's the King of the Hill activation. I'll be there. The oh my god, the Twisted Metal. They have an activation. They're doing bumper cars. This is such a bad idea, but they're gonna do Twisted Metal bumper cars. So I'll be at that. I'll be there's gonna be a Superman activation. There's gonna be like a Star Wars activation. So doing a lot of that stuff. And then getting to be a part of like the panels for a lot of the Robert Kirkman, Invincible, Walking Dead.
Yeah.
I just got confirmed for I'll be sitting on the season 3 press room for Walking Dead Daryl Dixon. So I'll be getting to interview Norman Reedus, Melissa McBride, Greg Nicotero, Scott Gimple, a lot of people behind that, a lot of people behind the show Upload for Amazon. I'll be in that room. So yeah, just really excited to, get to interview a lot of these folks that I really respect their careers and love their shows. And it's gonna be awesome, man. I'm very excited. It's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a lot. My schedule is like
Yeah, I was hoping to go
I'm
this
really
year.
sprinting.
Unfortunately, it didn't play in the cards. Hopefully, maybe next year I'll get down there. But obviously, being a member of the press with me with the hashtag show, I see a lot of the emails and press room stuff coming out, and obviously I write about it. So hopefully my hashtag show counterparts that are there are going to take care of me. While I'm writing all these articles, we'll see what happens. But yeah, it definitely looks like it's going to be fun and exciting. I'm hoping this year New York should be good. Hopefully, I'll get to run into you again there
Oh,
as well. I know we had a great time last year, especially at the Thrill Joy party and stuff like that. And it's awesome. And everybody, I want to thank you guys tonight for the first show. Sorry, Instagram, for the technical difficulties there with me forgetting to hit the live button. But we had some great interactions, some great views tonight. And I just want to thank you all. Obviously, both of us here being veterans, there's one thing that's very important to both of us here, and that's mental health. It's a struggle, and not just for veterans, for everybody. Like I said, this is a safe place for everybody. If you're a geek, veteran, whatever. But remember, though, with veterans too, we speak a little bit more to the heart because we've been through it. We lose 22 veterans a day, guys, and that's 22 too many. And even anybody who takes their life, that's one too many. So remember, if you need help, ask a friend, ask a family member. If you don't have that, call 988. If there's not any options, you just call 988. Boom, they're going to get you right to where you need to go. It's important. You matter to us, and we can't have this geeky world without you guys. So again, everybody, CQ, Pop Culture Warrior, make sure you check him out on WTF Radio. Check him out at Pop Culture Warrior on his social media channels. Who knows, maybe you might see my face pop up every once in a while. You never know. This is a crazy internet world, man. And we're blessed doing something that we love, and this is something that we both enjoy. And everybody, and CQ, thank you so much for being part of my first episode here, getting back at things. Let's Talk Nerdy will be coming twice a month. And who knows, we might have some special ones pop up when things come up. I know I'm going to have him back on the show again. Again, everybody, CQ, thank you so much. And until next time, everybody, be safe out there. And obviously, as a big Star Wars fan, I got to say, may the Force be with you.
I think we're still live.